CIO News. I'm Khushbu Soni, a host for the broadcast and a contributing editor at CIO News. This is a recorded session and will be available on our website, which is cionews.co.in, and our CIO News LinkedIn handle. This is an exclusive fireside chat powered by Avaya on transformation through businesses are built by the experience they provide, and every day millions of those experiences are delivered by Avaya. Avaya is shaping what's next for the future of work with innovation and partnership that they deliver game-changing experiences through business benefits. Let me dive in introducing my guest for today. He's Manish Madan, the Vice President Customer Services at Aegon Life Insurance. Manish has rich experience of more than 15 years. Prior to Aegon Life Insurance, Manish has worked with companies like Tata Teleservices, Reliance Communication, Vodafone, etc. Manish is a customer experience design expert and specializes in agile development, delivery lead, design thinking, digital transformation, operations management. Manish has led almost the entire value chain through customer. Welcome, Manish.
Hi, thanks for the fantastic introduction. I think I don't deserve that much, but thank you for covering it so nicely.
My pleasure, Manish. Much moving forward, I'll also introduce Umang Shah. He is the Manager Sales Engineering at Avaya India. Progressive business and technical experience, culminating in recognition as a top customer-facing solution specialist, substantiated by numerous recognition and awards by persistent demand for support throughout the sales, product management, and professional services team. Welcome, Umang.
For that
Hi.
introduction. And hi, Manish.
So, Umang, over to you to drive the fireside chat questions.
Thank you, Khushbu. Thanks for the introduction of Manish. Manish, in your introduction, it was mentioned that you take care of the digital transformation in your organization. So I understand with the pandemic onset, how have you or your organization been leveraging the digital channels to deliver the supreme customer experience?
So one thing which is very interesting, Umang, is the fact that it's not only organizations which have actually transformed. We have seen customers transforming and transforming beautifully. We have seen high usage on digital channels. Some of the studies very clearly show that at least 40% customers in the US, and I'm sure the number in India would be higher, the research is still on, have adopted to the new way of consuming products. I'm not talking about consuming data anymore, consuming products through the online modes. So I think more than organizations, it's the customer who actually pioneered this change and this transformation. I think the only work which was left with organizations was to transform and match up the speed at which some of these customers were choosing to migrate to some of these technologies. I'm sure we all know of these hyper personalized delivery options which started in places like Bombay, where you could actually get anything from anywhere picked up at a cost of 30 rupees. And I saw almost everyone around me either being a consumer of that, or some of our people who work with us, our support system started supplying, became the suppliers of that aggregation. So we, while within my organization, we have seen large changes in the way we are operating. We have seen extremely healthy adoption of these new channels, whether those new channels are WhatsApp or servicing through any of the social media channels, customers consuming emails which used to send earlier far more in terms of the red rates went up. There was an increase in the way people were opening the links you were sending it. So I think this transformation has been led by the consumer and the supplier both. Having said that, I think this we are at a stage where we want to be available across channels and maybe think about experience being consistent across all channels a little later, because I don't think uh, any transformation has happened at the speed as it had to happen in past 12 months. I've not seen in my entire career uh, organizations like working in telecom or finance or insurance have not really seen such a large change in such a short span of time. And when I discuss this with my other colleagues and peers outside the organization also, I realize it's the same story everywhere. The quantum may be different, but the width of the change is almost similar.
True. That's very true. If you go see the changes which happened in our lives, like my father, we used to going to a branch and doing everything, but now he's
Yeah.
got used to the digital way
Yes.
of moving around. With that point, you mentioned that people have been moving across multiple channels, or you have tried to increase your width on the channels which you can serve. With that, the most critical thing which comes up is how important is analytics and AI powered to create that journey mapping? You said that's the second stage where the consistency happens, but that's also another step which people have started thinking about. So, how does analytics and AI help creating that journey for you, for the end customers and insights to yourself?
So, actually, rightly said by you. This I completely agree with you that this is the right sequence. So, analytics plays a role to actually create the enough footmarks, if that's the right word, or create footprints for and generate those footprints for you to actually look through. If you start using the right tools, then you can start finding a way of forming your journeys to address some of these footprints which are created and which are being handled or not being handled. Having said that, uh, we are still this industry per se has still a distance to cover when it comes to uh, making real time changes in your journeys to match what you're getting out of analytics. So while both play an important role, uh, large journey mapping today is reactive. Moving that reactive journey mapping to largely proactive journey mapping, which can change on demand at a very fast speed. I think still there's some time left for us to reach that stage. I haven't seen that in fintech space yet, and I think that is one speed which we have to. Well, that's one place where we have to still pick up speed.
Okay, good, good insights. Yes, it becomes more critical because now the footprints have increased and you need to map it. How do you
Correct.
use it? It's analytics and AI bringing into it. Yeah, it will. The first steps needs to be taken and
Correct.
understood with the main critical channels first, and
Correct.
then doing the analysis on the other
And
ones.
when you get enough data, you're consuming data for other purposes, uh, and you are still not able. You are not really. We are not reaching a stage of utilizing it real time for journey and journey improvements.
And
There's
improving the customer experience side, using those insights too.
correct.
True. Uh, in continuation to that, I'm sure once we get into it with the new channels coming in, how are you measuring these CX experiences of yours? Can you throw some lights on the technology which
Of
you are
course.
using to measure them? Are they being
So,
useful? Yep.
so the
Go ahead.
the metric which we are using largely is NPS today.
Okay.
Uh, Now, on the journey, NPS mapping is being utilized by our. We are creating our internal tools largely to take care of that. Uh, as far as analyzing, because I think measuring is only a very small part of what you do on customer satisfaction or loyalty.
True.
What goes beyond this is, of course, actually deep diving into what information you get. And while NPS is a great tool to measure, if you're not really collating and actually uh, finding a way of matching it with the data points you have, it hardly gives you any insights. So we've been using certain tools, largely developed internally, to get emotions behind the NPS, and I've been trying to drive that as a clear metric to impact the NPS, and we have grown significantly over last 5-6 years in terms of our NPS scores. Uh, Having said that, I think we are now. It's also time to measure convenience at some point in time. So
True.
as we move on, the industry will have to introduce more convenience-led matrices to understand what the customer wants. Was the transaction easy enough, and where can one improve? And I think that's where the future lies. That those are my 2 cents about this question.
Okay. Oh, thanks, Manish, for that. The other thing which I wanted in continuation to that is any any tools or the any outcomes which you saw out of these MPS change which you would be measuring pre-pandemic and during the pandemic. Any places where you think yes, this improved or this was the change?
Frankly, if you ask me, we were too tied up with managing business in this change environment, and I think if you really ask me, the scale at which a customer will measure you would have changed significantly during this time, because this was a time for providing and not really excelling. If you were able to provide for basic information, on the fingertips,
At
we would
easy.
that we would have definitely matched the customer requirement, because requirements were not beyond that. I think these were different times. In
True.
past, your engagement levels, number of interactions you are having, the recency of interaction would have impacted the scores. In this time, you can provide
Sorry, Manish.
without any of
So,
breakage, or without any kind of obstruction.
sorry, Manish. We missed your last minute or so.
Okay,
I
I'm
think you
saying
maybe you received a call and because of that.
possibly. So I'm saying that largely the difference between what was pre-pandemic, post-pandemic, the big difference there was, um, the are you fulfilling the basic needs, or you are actually going beyond. So I think even customers' expectation was that you are able to fulfill the basic needs at that point in time. So I think that has changed. Nothing much has changed as far as analyzing NPS is concerned. We're definitely looking at newer ways of finding how customers consume the digital content, digital services, and we definitely want to look at finding ways of measuring satisfaction and loyalty real time, and of course close the feedback loop real time. So that's an open question. We are looking at answers for those for this question actually.
Okay. Yeah. Manish, that brings us to the next side. Being an insurance industry, heavily regulated, there are compliances which you need to take care of it. With the current pandemic coming in, COVID, I'm sure you had to move employees working from home. So how did you
Yeah.
manage, or how do you are monitoring these employees when they're working from home and ensuring that they are compliant while I'm sure when they were in the office, you could monitor it more tightly, like not giving them the mobiles, not giving them access to multiple stuff. How are you doing that when employees are working from home?
So thankfully, we were in that mode for some time, even before pandemic.
Oh,
uh, had VDI access, etc., given to all the employees. So
okay.
monitoring security and infosec was never a concern. uh, and I don't think, I think pandemic only increased the speed of that transformation. From being on VDI 1, we moved on to VDI 2, and user access controls were strengthened in the first 2 months of pandemic. In fact, Aegon, I'm very happy to say, is one of the few companies who are now in work from anywhere kind of a mode. Uh, and we are trying to, uh, basis our surveys and discussions with the employees, we realize that, and productivity has gone up significantly over these months. So we were very happy actually moving to a work from anywhere kind of a work environment. It's improving our productivity, and I think because we moved to VDI and VDI 2.0 in time, we were able to actually take care of security concerns also.
Okay, great. Uh, I'm sure with the COVID stuff and the other stuff, you would have looked at and you would have heard in the market a lot of migrations happening to cloud and the other factors which are coming in where technology is being serviced from a cloud
Yeah.
environment. So, what are the
Yeah.
key factors which you would like to share with your CIO community? And what are the factors which you should consider while moving to cloud?
Uh, Very clearly, again, I think we were slightly ahead of the curve, uh, and we had most part of our services and the service architecture largely on cloud for a while now. We started work in 2000, late 2018 actually,
Oh,
around that. As far as movement to cloud is concerned, I think the fear of losing control should not be there, for sure. Um it is. It is. It is not. In fact, the the initial inertia required to change is much lesser than on-prem solutions. And you realize the cost of operating is far lesser. Uh,
okay.
you at times we end up buying on-prem solutions which are extremely complex and large, and we mostly end up using not beyond 10, 15, 20% of the capabilities because we really do not know uh, the extent to which some of these on-prem complex solutions to go can go to. uh, Cloud, I've realized over a period of time, we are using services what we want, and we are not going beyond that. So that brings down the cost. Uh, because we largely are, in the API economy. Uh, I think cloud plays an important role because most of the new technology is available off the cloud, and if you're able to create an API-based architecture and start operating, within no time you become extremely fungible in terms of using some of these things. Your integration times reduce, and I think you get used to it very quickly. And I don't think now some of these things which we have done over past 2 years as an organization would have been possible if you would have been too dependent on on-prem solutions.
Okay. Anything new which you would like to share with the CIO community on added what you added cloud services or something like that in the last 1 year or something?
I would rather keep it.
Sure.
These are some of the items which need to be, they're IP
I
protected and
understand that.
confidential.
Sure. Thank you. Over to you,
Thanks.
Khushbu.
Thank you, Manish, for your insight. I just have one question before we wrap up. What is the way forward for 2021? If you can share some of your recommendations to organizations that are upgrading their customer service process, while tackling the era of, share some of your recommendations would be great.
I think they're quite. While most of us will be thinking alike on these, you have to provide all channels of service to the customer. Uh, the you shouldn't They cannot really force anything when it comes to using a certain channel, which means you have to make all available and leave it to the customer to use it. And then if you want to bring efficiency and get the customer off some of these manual channels which are human dependent, then the quality of experience which you provide on some of these digital channels should be compelling enough for the customer to leave that. You really can't be, as far as insurance is concerned, because the product is very complex. It's a very long-term product. Trust plays an important role. So what more important is that one, find a way of creating digital channels, but find a way of humanizing those. When I'm saying humanizing, I'm not saying put humans to take care of things, but humanize the experience by bringing in more of NLP, more of AI, more of machine learning in your entire experience. You can always make the chat sound as if some human is helping you. So the comfort and trust is what you have to build. Then you can actually humanize some of these interactions, and we should do it fearlessly because we don't realize it, but customers are experiencing it day in day out while using other products, and they're getting used to it. So some of the other industries are doing that job for us. We just need to follow suit and work to.
Absolutely, Manish. Great. Thank you so much for your insights today on our fireside chat. Thank you, Umang, for your time to drive this session.
Thank you, Khushbu. And
Thank you.
thank you, Manish, for all the responses.
Thank you, man. Thanks a lot.
Okay.